A few days ago, I came across a post on Reddit talking about railroading. It was called, "You're Probably Not Railroading Your Game." The poster had just finished a conversation with a friend who was terrified about railroading their game. For anybody who doesn't know what railroading is, it's taking away players' freedom of choice and pushing your players towards a certain direction of the story. The reason why Dungeon Masters are afraid to railroad is usually because they don't want their players to complain. But there is something in my view inherently wrong about railroading, and I'd like to use this video as a dialogue to communicate these thoughts to you guys. As always, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel to help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Thanks. The funny thing about railroading is that lots of players, especially casual players, don't really mind it. Lots of players enjoy adventure path modules that have been laid out before them. It's a bit like a video game really, isn't it? It's easy for players, it's typically quite easy for Dungeon Masters as well, but is it the most fun? Let's figure out if you are currently railroading your players by answering a couple of questions for me, yes or no. Do you often redirect players back to the main storyline if they start to explore or pursue side quests? Do you frequently have predetermined outcomes for key events regardless of player actions? Do you typically guide players to a specific decision or choice to ensure the plot progresses as planned? If you answer yes to any of these, then you might be railroading your players. What can we do to avoid this? Well, first things first, you need to embrace player agency. Encourage your players to make meaningful choices and build adventures around the concept of agency. If the adventure is to clear a mine of goblins, don't write the entire story and lead your players. Let them decide what they want to do, how they want to prepare, who they want to talk to, and how they actually want to go about doing this. Your focus should be on designing locations, preparing stat blocks and the treasure, not any of that other shit. They could get some equipment, be sneaky and quiet, and, go about the goblins normally. Or they could hire a bunch of hirelings and charge on in and have a huge battle. The decision really should be open to them, and you should be open to their decisions, even if it takes the story in an unexpected direction. Also, you should prepare your sessions broadly, not deeply. My video, The Secret to Creating Great Adventures, goes into detail about the different types of adventures that you could run for your group, and how to prepare general outlines and key points for your adventures rather than going through every detail of the plot. A link to that video will be available at the end of this video, so you can jump to that one straight after this. I thought that I used to railroad back in the day, but I realised in hindsight that I wasn't, and perhaps some of you can relate to this. I was providing different paths and allow my players to create their own through the story if they wanted to. The only problem with this style is that it requires a lot more effort because you're creating all these different kind of railroads, but it's not a single railroad, alright? It's lots of different ones, and they can go in all different directions, they can overlap, all sorts of stuff. It does require a lot of preparation, a lot of consideration on how you're going to manage these different situations. My average session prep was around 2 to 3 hours, which is just way too much for anything outside a big boss fight, an end of campaign type scenario, or maybe like a battle, something similar. And to be fair, I was running a homebrew campaign that, requires even more effort because you're designing the world for the players along with the adventures. You don't have to just design the adventure, you've got to design the locations, you've got to design the NPCs, and that can be very taxing. And whilst my players mostly enjoyed that game, I didn't, because of how exhausting it was to prepare and run. Also, it's 5e, and 5e is really difficult to run at higher levels, and I think they were like level 14. Yeah, don't run high level D&D. Oh, brutal. Now I mostly do hex crawls, which is a lot more random and leans far more heavily on my improv skills and the supplemental tools and tables that I use for my games. When I first started exploring the use of random tables and generators, it was like discovering the wheel, It made my life so much easier, and I feel like I was still able to be creative because so many of these tables have broad results. taking from what Bandits Keep said who's another YouTuber, said in a recent video about survival encounters, rolling a dice and having the result be 100 orcs. It's incredibly broad. It doesn't go into a lot of detail, and it's now up to me, or in this case it's up to you, to turn that result into a scenario that we can all find interesting. You wouldn't believe the amount of dopamine I get when I successfully turn something broad into something good during one of my sessions. What advice can you give newer Dungeon Masters to help them with their games? Do you think railroading is a bad idea? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to join my public Discord if you want to get involved in my community and our monthly one-shots. And check out my Patreon if you want access to systems, charts, tables, and all that stuff that you can use in your games. I'll see you guys next time on Loki's Lair. Until then.